you think about education, you think about empowering people. And upGrad is one of these companies that actually empowered people. I think the satisfaction that you get knowing that 20 people that came to you have gone out and done so well for themselves, that is priceless, because you're being able to give them the opportunity to go ahead in their life. Joining me today is Mayank Kumar, the co-founder and managing director of upGrad, a very unassuming gentleman that is, well, pretty much responsible for making sure that 77 lakh learners, no pressure, 77 lakh learners do very well in their life. More than 1,000 companies that jude hue hain, and I think it keeps growing. When you think about exponential growth, it's not just about how many more companies you can add on. It's how many more lives you can create. So thanks again, sir, for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me.
So many questions will always come in. Every year, does your, growth year on year will change? Percentage-wise, that's fine. But can the philosophy change? Or, you have 5-year plans. Is that the same with, new ventures?
Plans will change, but I think you asked a very good question, which is philosophy does not change. And that philosophy is very important, that you set the right foundation and the right base at the early stage. I got a message yesterday on my WhatsApp saying that, look, I've moved out of upGrad about a year back and I'm working at some other firm. But one thing that I learned from you specifically, and she was referring to me, that you have an ethos for making the learners happy and successful. And I'm trying to imbibe the same in my own sort of venture. Did it happen on the day that you started, or did it happen after 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years? And I was just reflecting on that question, and it was an important question for me. I said, look, no, it was actually on the day 0. So to your specific question, Salil, that the philosophy does not change. Your plans, your business plan, your approach could change. But if your philosophy is shaky, then you will not be able to grow and scale up beyond that, because you will face many more bad days than good days. You will end up going home disappointed more number of days than being happy on most number of days. But the one thing that will keep you and hold you steady is the philosophy that you are following and the larger purpose that you are starting the venture with. And that's something which is very important for anybody starting up, that please do not lose sight of the main core theme, the core philosophy, the core guiding principle that you are starting off with. Because the moment you come with that, you will move away from the path that you have chosen, and you will end up taking the wrong decisions in your own venture building period.
I think that happens a lot in the beginning also when you're thinking about what is the best course of action for the company. Which would you say is the toughest years for a co-founder? Is it the first year, or is that the actually easiest because you're just literally starting at 0?
This thing that we have been taught about, that बेटा 10th में अच्छा कर लो बहुत अच्छा हो जाएगा, 12th में अच्छे कर लो अच्छा हो जाएगा, इंजीनियरिंग कर लो अच्छा हो जाएगा, मैनेजमेंट कर लो, फिर उसके बाद जॉब अच्छा कर लो. So that's the same situation with a venture also, that everybody says that do the first year really well, second is going to be much better.
Right.
But it does not get easier, unfortunately. So I don't have an answer that which is the toughest year.
Yeah.
I think every year that you're sitting in, you realize that last year was much easier. And things are not getting easier. Things are getting different. But of course, the challenges and the set of expectations that you have changes quite drastically as you start scaling up. Perhaps there were different set of challenges when we were in the first year. I did not know where the office is going to be. We did not know where we will sort of set up our teams, what kind of first product will come out. In today's context, it's very different sort of pressure, different kind of expectations. So unfortunately, I don't have a very clear answer which year is the toughest. I think every year is tough in its own right, but the toughness changes on the parameters that one is sort of going through.
You can say 2015 was the starting year, so 8 years in, so 8th year in, but you got a -3 because the whole world went through an upheaval. People's lives had changed. It's always pre-pandemic and post. It was tough in a way that people really did not know whether it's possible to live the same way.
Yep.
Today in 23, we can agree to the fact that we can't live in the same way. Some benefited, some businesses, some people's skill sets changed. How tough was it for you to just have that thrown onto you? You're not that old, you're only 3 or 4 years at that time.
Yeah.
Suddenly you would have just changed the whole thought.
Yeah, no, I think we were sitting up, I still remember the day, it was 17th of Feb, or 17th March when we were sitting in. And we said, look, 18 March onwards, we are not coming to the office.
Achha.
And I think the country shut down on 20th of March or 21st of March. So we said we are not coming to the office on 17th March. Little did we realize that everything will shut down on 20th of March.
We thought also 3 weeks mein sab clear hai.
Sab clear ho jayega. So we started this thing, and then see, look, March end is the financial year close. and then 1st April the new year starts.
Right.
And then we said, okay, chalo, ek quarter hoga, we'll see how it happens. Now, the challenge that we face, the biggest challenge was working and continuing to work while working remotely. I don't know how you guys managed
No, I couldn't do it. 40 days I was back in. I was the only person that came back in the studio because I have 2 children at home. They said, this is not allowed to work. I couldn't do this.
No, so we had to move everybody back at work from home. And then what happened, we grew up from about 300 colleagues to about 1,000 colleagues in that 1 year period. So literally 2/3 of the folks in our organization I had not even met in person.
Right.
And then how do you build a culture with that? Was
just
my
on
biggest,
Zoom, by the way.
Just on Zoom was my biggest challenge, because if you don't see, what is culture? Culture is essentially what the founder or the top leadership emanates.
Right.
If they see you doing and behaving in a certain manner, everybody behaves in a certain manner. I could not even show them how I'm behaving in a certain manner. So I could not even expect what to expect from them.
True.
And that was the biggest challenge. Our business did have some pluses coming from pandemic, some minuses coming from pandemic. The plus, of course, was that when you as a working adult see your kids learning online,
right,
you realize, हाँ online पढ़ाई कर तो सकते हैं, तो अगर ये पढ़ सकते हैं तो मैं भी पढ़ सकता हूँ. And that was a good sort of plus for us. The other plus was all your discretionary spend went away.
Yeah.
So you were not going and buying fancy clothes, you were not going on fancy vacations. So जो पैसा बचा हुआ था, education is the least guilty discretionary spend. If you spend on your own education, nobody going to say, अरे यार तूने क्यों पैसे खर्च कर दिए? वो बोलेगा अच्छा ही काम के लिए खर्च कर रहे हो. So we benefited with that.
Right.
What we did not benefit from was because of pandemic, a lot of jobs got lost. A lot of people lost their sort of work environment, and therefore they were a little apprehensive of taking up a program, an online program at a point of time when they were not even sure about their own jobs. So I think that was a negative for us, but I think we managed to come out of it fairly okay. But in the process, sort of build something strong and meaningful, which is from here on. Now that we realize that this is the new normal, because people used to always ask this question: what is, how would you deal with post-pandemic?
Hybrid, yeah.
My answer was, I don't think there's anything called post-pandemic. This is the world. This is how we will live. This is how it will continue. And today, I think we have managed a good balance between how to sort of deal with people who are working from home, working from office, customers working from home, working from office. But it's a step-by-step learning journey from us.
Did the demographic change for the kind of age groups that suddenly started to do this during the pandemic?
I think 2 things we did see a difference. We suddenly saw a lot of enrollments coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And I'll tell you why, what happened there, because a lot of folks who are studying and working in Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, Chennai, etc., they all went back to their hometowns.
Correct, yes.
So suddenly my enrollments are moving up from Varanasi, from Bhagalpur, from Indore, etc. And we said, okay, now suddenly why are they learning? But we realized that actually it's the same people who have moved back. That was one. I think the second thing that we saw was we saw an increased participation from women and the female gender. I'm still not able to understand the dynamics of that, but we did see an increase in women participation. Perhaps because if your spouse is working from home, you can share some responsibilities. But equally, you have more responsibility as a lady of the house, because you have to manage work, you have to manage family, you have to manage house, and you don't have a way of getting out of your household. But we did see an increased participation from female sort of gender, and we had a slightly older age coming back and learning. So I think those were some of the trends that we saw at that point of time.
Digital became it's not even a buzzword anymore. It's almost like the primary form of communication now. Since yours is that kind of communication as well, and you scaled up so fast from 300 to say about 1,000, did you have to really also improve tech tremendously and then also teach tech? I know a lot of teachers that were finding it very difficult to teach students online. They didn't understand how to do it. There was no course that was there for it. So a lot of the traditional teaching methods failed online. I saw a lot of that happen also, even my son as well. Did that ecosystem also have to really have an overhaul?
Yeah, we need to train the teachers a lot for the live lectures specifically, because the teachers were not very used to teaching live. So for us, because we were online, we benefited. But we took the same thing and we offered our own product to about 300 plus universities and institutions, saying that why don't you guys use it, because we have the tech and the system and it's working. And that's where we saw people moving in that direction. But I think you would appreciate this a lot, that a lot of our faculty members and teachers today are good theatre artists.
Yes.
So they will want to go to a theatre and they would like to look in eye to eye and get the reaction from the audience to perform better. But they aren't movie stars.
Yeah.
When you are a movie star, then you don't get to see the reaction of the audience. You just have to perform. And that shift of taking them from being a theatre artist to becoming a movie star was one of the biggest transition that they had to do. But many of them did a phenomenal job of moving from being a theatre artist to becoming a movie star. Without seeing the reactions of the learners, they were able to perform and they were able to connect to the learners. It was a difficult time, but a lot of teachers did a phenomenal job in making the transition.
So are you a teacher or a movie star in your Zoom call, sir?
So I don't think I'm either, because my teams always say that, look, you always bore people out completely. No, but on a lighter, on a sort of more serious note, I prefer to be a more theatre artist than a movie star, because I do want people to interact and engage, and therefore my Zoom calls are more with back and forth communication, ask questions, and I will change this thing. But it's your own personal style. It's very difficult to manage it when you don't see them. Because once you see them, it becomes much easier.
Of course, I think there's a vibe also. People need to understand there's a vibe of people and energies that are there in the air.
Yeah.
You know, so before I was coming here, I wasn't sure whether this is going to be a sit-down, very serious kind of interview, because well, yes, we can do that. But I love the thought process. You know, you're such a rounded person because you possibly put in so much of your life into this. You know, I think people don't understand the amount that goes into this. So because the online space is your comfort zone, it is your primary world, which wasn't the primary world for so many others. Would you want to get out of your box and move into the physical world, on ground, real?
Yeah, look, I mean, first thing first, I think you have to get out of your comfort zone. Without getting out of comfort zone, you don't get out your best. So while offline is not something that we look for teaching, offline definitely is an important aspect for us to reach out to our consumers. See, because trust is a big issue when it comes to education.
Right.
And when somebody is buying something online, it's very difficult for people to have the same level of trust.
Yes.
Because these are expensive purchases versus going to a particular shop or a center and then converting. So I think on that context, we'll look at offline as an interesting and important acquisition and customer sort of trust building channel vis-a-vis a teaching channel. I think teaching will continue to do online because we believe that we can manage quality, we can manage scale, we can manage consistency by running it online. So I think that's
offline becomes more the marketing part of it.
More the marketing and distribution and outreach part, because without that, building trust in tier 2, tier 3 India is very difficult. And that's how we will reach out and penetrate to the different parts of the country by reaching out offline, but online will remain our core medium of delivery and instruction.
There is a to-do list that someone like you has to give an aspiring entrepreneur. It's the most abused word in the world. Everyone's an entrepreneur. Earlier it used to be about people who are unemployed. A lot of people just talk about that. That has changed a lot now. There is a scope for that. What are the biggest mistakes that you could have made, possibly did make, that you would give advice to people to say that just stay away from this?
So my parents, when growing up, business, entrepreneurship was a taboo word. That you can't do this. But I think the parents were supportive and they sort of supported me. My wife supported me when I started off. I'll not give a to-do list. I will give a not to-do list, which is what a lot of people fail and they form a sort of a fallback plan, etc. I think the first one for me is always that when I ask somebody, when I ask you, okay, you want to start up, you say, no, this is not the right time. I'll get to the right time because my kids are studying, my wife is working, this and that, etc. But I personally believe that there is no good time to start a venture. All times are equally good for you to start a venture. When I started my own company, my kid was just turning about a year old. And everybody said, why will you leave the cozy job? You go in the morning, you come back in the evening, you're sorted, your life is there, you are achieving, you are overachieving, etc. But then I realized that, look, you cannot time it perfectly. Every time is a good time for you to start. True. So do not wait for the perfect timing. Just go ahead and launch when you feel right to launch something. The second thing that people always make a mistake is they start with a thought, what's your fallback plan? Agar ye nahi hua, to I can come back and be an RJ again. But the moment you go, you have to go with zero plan B. Because the moment you go with a fallback plan, you have that fallback plan at the back of the mind. You will never give your best when it comes to sort of launching your own venture. And these two things helped me a lot at the starting time. I never thought what is the best time. I never thought what's the plan B. You said 99%, 100%, those things sort of happen. But for me, the plan A was, at that point of time, the word called $1 billion valuation was a big deal, right? I said, My plan A is I'll build $1 billion plus company.
Wow.
My plan B is I'll build a $900 million company. So the plan B was to build a largest sort of place. So
can I just say that in better words? 8,500 crores. You know, so the weightage of $1 billion today is like as if $1 billion. It's 8,000 crores. So you know that's the kind of valuation that you were looking to make, and how this is when you were starting off.
That's what we were starting.
You straight away thought of a unicorn.
I just said that look, I don't have a plan B. I have to build.
So
a
about
large
100
company.
million, something like that. It was slightly more smaller numbers.
No, I think you have to come with a mindset that you are here and you have to make it big. There is no plan B. You cannot fall back on something. Just do what is right. And the third thing is, no matter what you do, you have to feel very passionate about the problem. And this is something that a lot of people believe that, I saw this problem and I'll make it happen. But as I told you earlier also that look, you will face many bad days and good days. On the bad days, what will hold you steady is the fact that you are here for the passion that you are owning.
Yes.
For me, education was is a passion. I want to make a difference in education, and fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know anything outside of education. So anything I can do is only in education. So I have to make. So you have to feel very dearly and passionate about it, not emotional about it.
Yes.
But passionate about it, so that at the right time you have to cut it. But be passionate about the problem. Don't go with a plan B, and don't get the right timing. Every time is a good time for you to start off.
And I'll add one more thing. Be a king of one trade. Don't try and do 100 things, because eventually that you're bought up with this adage of the jack of all trades, kuch na kuch to ho jayega. That becomes equal to plan B, C, D, E, F. You have to have only one plan. And just hope that you don't fail, and maybe not aim for 8,500 crores. I'd really be happy with 800 crores as well, sir.
No, I'm just saying that look, this
no, I know what you mean, but yeah.
The fact of not failing,
Yes.
You will fail hundreds
Absolutely.
of times. I was talking to my co-founder Ronnie also, and he made a very interesting point to me that what's your biggest failure? And even I was thinking I could not come up with an answer. And the answer that he told me was that the biggest failure is yet to come. Because if you had met with your biggest failure, you would not have been doing what you're doing right now. Because your failures is yet to come, and there's no biggest failure, because every failure is a stepping stone for you to pick up something and learn something new.
Such a pleasure and such an inspiring chat, sir. Thank you so much, because I think you like I said, you overcomplicate things. We need to simplify life, and also have a drive and the right knowledge. It's not, you have to, everyone can't be a Virat Kohli, because you have to spend 20 years in the nets for that. You can't just walk in and say, "Aaj main 2 6 maar diye and I'll become that." There's a lot of hard work that goes with it, lots of pain, and that's the reason why this 30 Powerlist is all about these powerful individuals that can actually give us the kind of knowledge that we need to move forward with. So, thank you so much. It was a real pleasure. The managing director of upGrad, the co-founder, and loving father, being out there for the family as well. Very important. Listen, you don't understand what balancing family life can be. You can be a billionaire, but the family doesn't think you're a billionaire, because when you come home, you're just dad. So I think you're doing all things perfect. So thank you so much for joining us. I'll catch you again soon. Salil Acharya, my name, and you can always look us up on Radio City, Midday, on all the YouTube portals. And like I said, for always more information on upGrad, upgrad.com is where you can go. Take care, bye.